Hello everyone, my name is Pulkit Jaidev and I'm representing Maier+Vidorno and I work in the capacity of business development team. Today I will be the host for the webinar on the topic HR management in India. As we understand that this topic is quite a concern among foreign companies who are looking to enter and grow their business in India. So we thought of conducting a webinar on human resources management in India and share our knowledge and insights with you. About Maier+Vidorno, we are a leading consulting and facilitation company and we act as trusted partners for the foreign companies in India. We have been doing this business for the past 18 years now and have successfully helped over 1,200 international companies to enter and grow their businesses in India. For this seminar today, I would now like to introduce the speaker, Ms. Samriti Parashar, who represents Maier+Vidorno in the capacity of Head of Executive Search and Human Resource Consulting. She comes with a background of 15 plus years of experience in working with international companies from across the world, including Japan, Southeast Asia, Europe, West, and all other countries. As we will begin the event shortly and we would like your active participation, we'll be happy to address all your questions at the end of the event. For the attendees who have logged in from their laptops, I request them to click on the orange arrow at the top right of the screen whenever you have to post your question. And for the attendees who have logged in from their smartphones, you can just click on the question mark at the menu bar. Now I would request Ms. Samriti Parashar to begin the webinar.
Thank you, Mr. Jaidev, for introducing me to the audience. Since we are talking about India, I would like to greet you all the way we do in India. Namaste. I hope you all had a great Easter spent with the family. Moving forward, some facts about India. State capital of India is New Delhi. We are divided into 29 states and 7 union territories. We are 1.3 billion people, making us as the second most populous country in the world. Just to be on a lighter side, irrespective of the perception the world has about India, our literacy rate is around 75%. The current GDP is 2.6 trillion US dollars, out of which 60 billion US dollars is the FDI. 70% of Indians stay in rural India or in villages, and 30% is the urban population staying in the metropolitan cities. Practically, these are the people who you would be dealing with if you have a business in India. We are a young population, and 57% of us are between the age group of 15 to 59 years. We have 22 official languages. And as I said earlier, 29 states, which means that each state has its own unique language, script, and religion on its own. So if I belong to North India and I'm a Punjabi, does not necessarily mean that I would understand how South Indians speak in Telugu or Tamil. But the good news is that the urban population is well versed with the English language, and we all communicate with English, which also comes in handy if a foreign company is coming into India and the communication becomes easier, unlike the case in Japan and China where English is still a foreign language for them. 80% of the population is Hindu, 14% of us are Muslims, which makes us more Muslims in India than in all over Pakistan. The rest 6% has Christians, Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains, and so on and so forth. To throw some light on the talent pool of professionals in India, we have around 1.5 million engineers passing out every year from the engineering institutes of India, which makes us the highest number of engineers in the world, followed by MBAs, chartered accountants, corporate secretaries, lawyers, and doctors. As a woman, it gives me a great pride to say that we have also the maximum number of women pilots in the world in India. In my next slides, I'm going to touch two very sensitive topics, that is caste system and corruption. Whenever I'm out presenting outside India, these two topics has always been an apprehension shared with the participants. So just to give you an overview or background of how caste system came into being. In ancient India, the society was actually divided on the basis of the job role they handled. So for example, the educators or the teachers would fall in the top of the pyramid, which were called Brahmins, followed by warriors and rulers called Kshatriyas. Then came the business class people or the merchants called Vaishyas. There were unskilled workers or the people who helped in the household chores called Shudras. And at the bottom of the pyramid were Harijans or the untouchables, which the nature of whose job is to clean the sewage and take care of the cleanliness of the colony. Because of the nature of the job they did, people were scared that the diseases will spread in the society. So they were asked to stay outside the boundaries of the colony so that that can be protected. How did we evolve over a period of time and how does the modern India looks like? First of all, I want to share with you that modern India is actually not very proud of the misuse of caste system in the past. We realize it, we are trying to evolve and taking some measures so that the caste system can be avoided totally. In general, the urban people in India are less strict than the people in the villages. So they still follow caste system in villages, but in urban society, we do not. There are few measures taken to get rid of the system. By the government, Independent India's constitution banned discrimination on the basis of caste, color or creed. So it's an offense if somebody has been, if some injustice is done on the basis of caste, color or creed. The authorities also announced quotas and reservations in the government jobs in government institutions. So for example, in a medical college, if there are 100 vacancies for the students, 20% of it would be reserved for the underprivileged class. Lower caste people are also helped by the government by giving more scholarships and free education so that eventually the economic stature of the underprivileged class can come up. Society point of view, intercaste marriages are very common nowadays, where a Brahmin groom is getting married to a bride from Shudra caste, and when they both get married, the children follow the name of the father, which of course falls into a Brahmin class. So slowly we are changing into, we are mingling and trying to change the caste system. Just to give you a few more examples, as far as the politics in India is concerned, the current president of India, Mr. Ramnath Kovind, also belongs to an underprivileged class. Our former president of India, Mr. K.R. Narayanan, was also a Shudra. Mayawati, four-time Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, and Ram Vilas Paswan, the president of the Lok Jan Shakti Party, which is a very strong opposition party, they also belong to the underprivileged class. If we see in the corporate world, the corporate giants like Nathram, Kalpana Saroj, Sanjay Srisagar, they all are the corporate giants who has around 2,000 to 3,000 employees reporting into them. Now, amongst these employees, there would be Brahmins, there would be Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, but they don't shy away in following their duties and reporting into the head of the organization, who's a Shudra. So, practically, in the business world or in the professional world, the caste system is not seen much. Corruption. So before giving you some overview of how corruption started in India, we must understand that in India, the social status of the person does not only depend on how educated or well-read the person is, but actually depends on how much money he is making, how many houses he owns, or how many luxurious cars he owns. So in the past, less salary was provided to the government employees as compared to the corporate employees. Heavy and complicated taxes were levied without any logic. Inflation was rising, job opportunities were less. There were wrong leaders trying to make easy money. Slow law system, so if anybody is caught in a bribe case, it would take ages for the verdict to come. There was monopoly and favoritism of government-controlled institutions, which means that the tender was only released to the chosen few who would bribe the government officials. So that's how the corruption started in the past because of these reasons. Once Mr. Modi, the current Prime Minister of India, came in, he, so to say, took a pledge to remove corruption from India. And to quote him, he said, "I did not make any big speeches, but acted upon working against corruption." Few of the measures he took, like introducing GST with one common tax for all the states, which means this will eliminate the middleman who would be, the source of taking bribes or being corrupt. Also, he realized that there is a need to run the government in a corporate way. So he introduced and installed the biometric finger machines and the CCTVs in the government offices. Before this, what used to happen was in the government offices, people would arrive late, will have lavish lunches, and the productivity in the whole day would be not more than 1 to 2 hours, which again had affected work. The files will not move from one table to another, which again became a source of bribe in the government offices. So to eradicate that, Mr. Modi has introduced the biometric and the CCTV, which will take care of that. Apart from that, Mr. Modi has also introduced Aadhaar card, which is an identity card where all your financial transactions are connected with this card. So whatever bank accounts you open, that is connected to the Aadhaar card. So the black money and the corruption has reduced. Demonetization, you must have heard about demonetization happening 1.5 years ago, which has helped in increasing the number of taxpayers and reducing the black money from the market to a great extent. Many government policies have been made to help the poor people, where the loans are given at the subsidized rates. An anti-corruption wave is growing within Indian civil society as people became more educated and aware of their rights. And people don't shy away now to complain against the culprits. GDP has gone up, inflation has gone down, so is the corruption now. So we are on a good track now. Why India? Why should you choose India to start your business in? So if we see that the current GDP of India is 2.6 trillion US dollars, and I have tried to project some of the world powers here to make a comparison. Even though we are at 2.6 trillion US dollar GDP right now, if you see the growth rate, we are experiencing a tremendous growth rate of 7.2% on an average. And if you see, China is at 6.9%. So the future looks very bright. It is predicted that by 2025, India will be the third most emerging country after China and US. So the future prospect is very good. The growth rate might reach the double-digit number in the coming years. So this shows that your ROI in India would be ensured if you choose India for your business. If you're planning to come to India to put up a trading office or a plant, these are the few things which will help you in jotting down few policies for the company. Maximum working hours as per law are 9 hours in a day with 1 hour of lunch break. That means 8 hours in a day a person is supposed to work. For the plant workers, overtime wages, which should be the double of the daily wages of the person. And the total working hours, including the overtime, should not exceed 60 hours in a week. Proper health and safety measures for all the workers should be taken care of. Hours of work, overtime, leave and holidays should be in compliance with the rules provided by the Act. To take you through few of the labor laws in India, the Employees Compensation Act 1923, which says that if the employee is on the premises of the office or is on duty and meets with an accident, the employer should take care of all the medical expenses of that employee. Employees Provident Fund Act or the Pension Fund Act, which means if the organization has more than 20 employees in a company, they should register for the Provident Fund. As a market entry client or as putting up a trading office in India, you would obviously look for a country head or a regional sales manager to start the business with. And what happens that these country head candidates or the regional sales manager candidates come with at least the experience of 15 to 17 years. Now from last 15 years, they've been accumulating this Provident Fund. And suddenly when they come on board of a new company, they do not get the facility of the Provident Fund, which actually dissuades and demotivates the good candidates from joining a new company with the lesser number of employees. Now the companies like Maier+Vidorno provide solutions for this kind of a thing. We give you a platform where we take your employees on our payroll, and in the bargain, the Provident Fund account can continue. Minimum Wages Act, which means each state has its own bracket of minimum wages, and no employer can pay the workers less than the prescribed minimum wages by the government. The Payment of Bonus Act 1965, which means that if the company is making profit, they should share it with the employees. The Payment of Gratuity Act. This also is a kind of a pension fund which is paid to an employee after completing 5 years in a company. The Maternity Benefit Act 2017, which has just been revised, where earlier there was a paid leave given to the mothers for 3 months after delivering a baby, has been revised to 6 months paid leave now. The Trade Union Act, which means the workers can get together to make a trade union to protect their interest and to communicate with the management in a right way. My next slide will give you some understanding of the kind of hike or increment an Indian is expecting every year. Now, if you see at the bottom of the pyramid, Japanese who usually joins the company as a management trainee and leave only once they retire. So their working span in a company can be from 20 to 25 years, is only expecting 2.5% hike per year. Whereas if you compare it with China and India, they're expecting from 7.4 to around 10% hike. Why so? Because the economies in these two countries are booming and there are ample of job opportunities available. So if we are not being able to retain our employees by giving them the expected increment, they would leave and join another MNC company where they would any which way for switching the company would get a hike of 20 to 25% on an average. So in order to retain our good performers or the assets of the company, we should be prepared to at least give them 8 to 10% of hike. And that's what the Indians are expecting. Since we are talking about human resource, I would like to quote Charles Darwin here. He says it is not the strongest of the species that survives or the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. So if we consider ourselves as the world leaders, let's show some flexibility and an attitude to take the challenge and explore Indian markets. we at Maier+Vidorno shall help and ensure the success of your business in India. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. Hope that it serves a good source of information for you and help in taking a decision to come to India. Thanks for having the patience for listening to me. It seems some questions are pouring in, Mr. Jaidev. Do we have some questions from the audience?
Yes, Ms. Parashar, we have a couple of questions. But before we begin the question and answer round, I would like to thank you for such an insightful presentation. I hope our audience felt the same. So the first question from the audience is, we are a family-owned packaging machine manufacturer and want to set up a sales division in India. How can Maier+Vidorno help in setting up the same with minimum liability on us?
Thank you very much for sharing the question, Mr. Jaidev. As we all know, Maier+Vidorno provides the business platform to the foreign companies for setting up their businesses in India. And we have two types of clients. One, the freshers or the market entry clients, and the others are the ones who already has a base in India. So for the market entry clients, we help them with executive search or recruitment to find the best quality human resource, back office support in terms of finance and administration, ERP and CRM system to control and monitor the movement of your sales team, HR management of your employees, supply chain management to help you import goods and distributing it locally, legal services to support you with the incorporation of your subsidiary in India, partner search and market research. Also, if you feel that it is too soon for you to have your own subsidiary in India and would like to test waters in terms of acceptability of your product in India, we support you with outsourcing the complete platform or corporate services, so to say. For the companies who already has a presence in India and going through the challenge in HR and business modeling, we help them with the diagnostics and corporate restructuring. I hope I have been able to answer the question well, Mr. Jaidev. Do we have any more questions?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much, Ms. Parashar, for a detailed answer. So maybe I'll ask another question from the audience that has come. What are the things that we should be careful of while recruiting in India?
A very good question. First of all, we need to understand that India has a 1.3 billion people. If we only focus on the 30% urban population staying in the metro cities, the talent pool is huge. As I have shown you in my earlier slides, we have the highest number of engineers in the world. For each job, we have around 100 people waiting to choose from on an average. The thing with the utmost importance, and I say it as an executive search professional, is the screening process. So for hiring any senior management person, we should at least have 3 interviews planned. In the interviews, we may start with evaluating their personality, their confidence level, their skills, matching their skills with the job role offered. Also, we can ask them to prepare a business plan for 6 months if they are hired, and see if during the presentation how they come up as good presenters, or what is the confidence level and how they would be able to deal with the clients. Also in India, I have noticed that there is a big need of background verification in terms of their previous employments. We should know how they performed in their previous companies as a performer, as a team leader, as a team member, and what were the reasons that he left the previous jobs. Also, if we have decided to get the person on board and are going to offer, we should always have a check on their last 3 months salary slips, and their certificate should be verified. These are the few things I feel are very important to be taken care of while recruiting in India. With this, I see we are falling short of time. It would be a pleasure to continue answering your questions over a conference call or on emails. You can see my contact details in the slide shown, and feel free to get in touch with me anytime. Over to you, Mr. Jaidev. I think this is a time to conclude the presentation.
So now we would like to thank you all for your attention and for being such a wonderful audience. I'm sure you must be having a lot of questions. Please feel free to share your questions. And we would also need your suggestions on what all more information you would like to have from Maier+Vidorno. We thank you all for attending the webinar and have a good day ahead.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Namaste.